Israel is saying that it has killed Iran's army wartime chief of staff. Tel Aviv has identified Ali Shadmani as Tehran's most senior military commander. Tehran is yet to confirm the claim, but multiple buildings have been struck in Tehran by Israeli missiles targeting the city. 3 people have been rescued from the rubble of a destroyed building. Air defense countermeasures were launched too in Natanz, a strategic location with nuclear installations. Let's take a closer look at Ali Shadmani. He is Iran's wartime chief of staff, one of the country's top military commanders, also a trusted aide to Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei. He was promoted just last week after Israel killed Major General Ali Rashid in its surprise attack on Friday. Israel says it killed Shadmani during an airstrike on what it called a command center in central Tehran. Well, meanwhile, video has emerged of the destruction inside Iran's main broadcaster following an Israeli missile attack on the building. Studios and newsrooms where journalists sat at their desks have been reduced to ashes and charred debris, as you see. The Committee to Protect Journalists has condemned the attack, which also killed 3 television employees. Well, let's bring in Tawhid Asadi, who is in Tehran, the Iranian capital, for us. Tawhid, give us a sense of the Iranian response that we've been seeing so far.
Well, we're dealing with a highly escalated situation over the past 4 or 5 days as Israelis started their strikes across the country and here in the capital. From time to time, from the very beginning of these strikes, we have been hearing the sounds of explosion related to the activation of air defense system in the country and here in the capital. Also, we've got this recent report from IRGC, statement from the IRGC saying that they are going to continue their crushing retaliatory actions. And also they said that next rounds are going to be much stronger. Also, we've got this report from IRGC saying that one of the important command centers of Mossad have been targeted by the IRGC forces in the Israeli territories. Also, we've got Qamar Saidari, who is the commander of ground forces of the army, Iranian army, coming out to say that enemies should know, quote unquote, that new wave of Iranian strikes are going to be with new advanced weaponries. This is something that we have been hearing from Iranian officials over the past few days, saying that they are going to become stronger in their retaliation if Israelis decide to continue their strikes. And the reality on the ground here is that Israelis are continuing their strikes. Recently, we received reports from Tabriz, located in East Azerbaijan province of Iran, about the sounds of explosion being heard also across the country. Air defense system has been activated, intercepting different flying objects over the skies of Iran. From what I can say, escalation is the name of the game that we are practicing, we are seeing over the past few hours, and still we are able to hear sounds of explosion from different parts of the capital, from different parts of the country, showing that strikes are continuing.
Tawhid, as this escalation seems to continue, it does seem that there is some openness to a conversation. We've heard from Iran's foreign ministry just in the last few minutes saying that they're in an address to G7 countries, saying they want them to condemn the Israeli aggressor. Is there space here for any kind of talks or negotiation?
Well, we have to keep in mind that Iran was in the middle of conversations, in the middle of talks with the United States, and the 6th round of Iran-US talks were scheduled to be held on Sunday. But after these strikes took place and after the resolution that was adopted by the Board of Governors of IAEA about Iran's nuclear program, the possibility for conversation and negotiation started to decrease. But still, we had this from Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi recently saying that in case Israelis decide to step back, they decide to decrease, de-escalate, there is a possibility for a tit-for-tat strategy from Tehran. But the reality on the ground, based on what I can see, is far from that, as we see the continuation of strikes. Previously, we heard similar statements, at least at first days of this confrontation. We heard that if Israelis decide to step back, de-escalate, there is a ray of hope for de-escalation. But the matter and the truth of the matter and the reality on the ground is, as I told you, far from that.
And Tawhid, can you give us an assessment of the current state of nuclear facilities in Iran at the moment? Obviously, everyone's been watching them very closely, especially the IAEA.
Well, actually, this is the Iranian very important nuclear sites, very important one in Natanz, which is perhaps the most important enrichment site for Iranian nuclear program, has been targeted for several times. Damages have been reported. There is this serious concern about contamination and nuclear pollution, not only among the politicians, but also alongside with very ordinary citizens living nearby. Also, we've got Fordow and other nuclear facilities reportedly targeted. And from one of these scenes, we see smoke coming out. We see footages coming from the satellites showing the amount of strikes. Of course, Iranian people, if you speak about the mood in the capital, are very angry that they are seeing facilities, nuclear dangerous facilities, targeted by the Israeli strikes. And that's not it. Still, we've got civilian casualties as a result of attacks on the civilian and residential buildings. All in all, I can say that this is an unprecedented scope of targets, of unprecedented scope of strikes that Iran is currently experiencing. And in response, it's saying it's going to retaliate. It's going to be a tit-for-tat retaliations. What we hear from Iran is that if you attack our nuclear sites, we're going to do the same. If you attack our energy infrastructures, we're going to do the same. If you attack the economic centers, we're going to do the same. This tit-for-tat strategy runs the risk of further escalations, not only between Iran and Israel, but now we can still talk about the possibility of a regional escalation.
And Tawhid, given what we're hearing from the Israelis, I know there hasn't been any confirmation from Tehran, but can you remind us of how important Ali Shadmani was and who he was within the ranks of the Iranian military? Presumably, if he was just promoted, the person who replaces him will also become a target.
Well, actually, from what I can say based upon my sources here in Tehran, I cannot confirm that Ali Shadmani, who was the commander of Khatam al-Anbiya Center, has been assassinated, has been killed. Iranian sources so far, they have, especially the IRGC, has not given out any confirmation on that. So for the time being, we cannot say that this assassination has taken place, but still we have to keep in mind that he is one of the most prominent, important figures in the IRGC structure. He heads the engineering and technical firm that belongs to IRGC. That's a very important position and a very important part of the IRGC structure. But still, we have no confirmation on that. But we have to keep in mind that this is not the first time that Israelis are striking top military officials in the country. We have to keep in mind that previously we had the report on the assassination of IRGC top commander Hossein Salami and others alongside with him.
Tawhid Asadi there with the very latest for us from the Iranian capital. Thank you, Tawhid.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.